The nights in Blackridge Penitentiary were long and silent, except for the occasional rattling of chains. But on this night, a whisper slithered through the cracks of the cold concrete walls. "Hey, you want to get out of here?" James Foster froze, his heart pounding. 3 years in this hellhole, and now an offer of escape. "Who's there?" James whispered. "Call me Carlos," the voice murmured. "I've been watching, listening. I know how to get out. But listen, don't look for me in the daylight. Tomorrow night we act." James shivered. Carlos spoke like a ghost from another time, his voice raw and hoarse. But the promise of escape was too tempting to ignore. Carlos described a weak spot in the prison structure near the old maintenance tunnel. He explained how to slip through the cell doors undetected. That night, James barely slept. His mind was a battlefield of hope and paranoia. When daylight broke, he avoided searching for Carlos, fearing doubt would set in. But the name Carlos clawed at his mind. Night fell. James set to work. Using a loose screw from his cot, he pried open the vent under his bed, squeezing through the tight space. He reached the corridor's wiring panel, twisted the exposed wires, and short-circuited the security locks just long enough to push open his cell door. Step by step, James moved like a shadow through the halls, slipping past sleeping guards and security cameras. His pulse pounded as he neared the maintenance exit. Then, finally, the outside air hit his skin. He had made it. But as he turned toward the meeting spot, dread set in. He was alone. "Carlos," he whispered. No answer. Suddenly, alarms blared. Searchlights lit up the night. "Inmate on the run!" Panic set in. James sprinted toward the wall, but boots slammed against the ground behind him. Strong hands grabbed him, yanking him backward. He fought, thrashing, but within seconds he was on the ground, wrists twisted behind his back. Carlos had set him up. Back in his cell, rage festered. Over the next few days, he asked around. No one knew Carlos, not even the guards. "Heard of a guy named Carlos?" he asked an older inmate. The man frowned. "Ain't no Carlos ever been in this block." James clenched his fists. The details, the instructions, they were too real to be imagined. Fueled by anger, James sharpened a makeshift shank from a piece of metal. If Carlos was real, he would find him, and when he did, he'd make him pay. One night, as he lay awake, the whisper returned. "You shouldn't have tried looking for me, James." His breath caught. The whisper came from the same spot behind the wall. "You set me up," James hissed. "I'm gonna find you." A soft chuckle. "James, I've been dead for 10 years. Ice flooded his veins. "The tunnel you took," Carlos whispered. "It's the same one I tried before they caught me, before they made me disappear." James jerked back, staring at the wall in horror. Then the whisper faded, and silence filled the room once more. James sat frozen, his mind racing. Had he been speaking to a ghost, or was something far more sinister at play? The weight of what he had just heard crushed him. He was trapped, not just in Blackridge Penitentiary, but in a nightmare that would never end.